Here.
The day of the food drive, I still have to ask.
Oh, absolutely. They told us that. I just didn't know what we were doing. So I will shoot you. Okay. Thank you.
And I'll do the ice cream again.
What?
I'll do the ice cream.
I haven't seen it.
Great. That's fine with me.
All right, so Mr. Meyer.
Yes. I know.
Last one.
Shush.
You know what?
Come on.
I already know, but we don't know it's not done yet.
He doesn't want to jinx it.
Right. So let's get first
So he's
before you
saying he
tell me.
doesn't want to jinx it.
They were down at the half lap.
I know. Oh, I didn't know that.
And they
I
won.
just knew that they beat. And so that's all great. But I didn't know any of that until now. I don't know. I want to know any.
I'm sure.
I have 7 o'clock. Call to order. To stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the board is all here. Administration is here. Anyone else? Okay, I need approval of the regular and executive session meeting minutes of March 11th of 2019.
So I thought the minutes were a little confusing as they were written. That Prairie State College information, I just wanted it to stop at where it said, a motion was made by Edward Palmisano and Carla Weisel to approve 50% of the Prairie State College tuition. I just thought it should stop at that. When they start, I thought when with no reimbursement model, I thought it got confusing, like we didn't want to give any money when we wanted to give all the money up front. So I was thinking either stop there or go up front.
I wasn't real sure it was clear what the 50% of tuition, I mean, like 50% of district paid tuition, maybe clarifying it that way. Or something, or it did seem a little abstract.
Okay. Are you good with Carla's correction?
I was going to put up front at the end of tuition, or do you have another idea? Just delete with no reimbursement model?
I think the upfront makes
Upfront?
sense. Yeah.
That's for the first one? That's all. And then
Okay.
the second one, and then I'll read it. A motion was made by Carla Weisel and Edward Palmisano to approve 50% of the Prairie State may not be taken the next, classes may not be taken the next semester. It doesn't.
But that was your motion. That was your motion.
No, we make it down to the...
Yeah, we're not on the second one, just repeated it as well. Somehow, but no reimbursement was always a little, as I read it, that struck funny to me too. The reason there wasn't going to be reimbursement was because we weren't going to ask for it in the first place.
Right.
So it was more of a discount than it was a non-reimbursement.
Yep, so we'll add upfront in each of the motions. Yep.
Okay. I'm fine with that then.
Okay. I need a motion to approve as amended.
So move.
Second?
And I need a separate motion to approve the executive session meetings of March 11th, 2019.
Was there one more executive?
So moved.
I second.
Okay, Palmisano,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Scriventi,
Yes.
Mazurik,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
Palmer. Yes. Motion carried.
Moving to the approval of the 2019 expenses. April 2019 expenses. Any questions?
One kind of question, I don't know if it's really so much on bills as more of the financial report. I don't know, every time.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah. Okay.
No questions? I need a motion to approve the April 2019 bills.
Make a motion, we approve.
Second. Okay, Palmer,
Yes.
Palmisano,
Yes.
Goldberg,
Yes.
Scriventi,
Yes.
Mazurik,
Yes.
Herman,
Yes,
Weissel.
Yes.
Motion carried.
and we'll move to the treasurer's report. Mike.
Alrighty. Balance in the First Community Bank and Trust account as of March 31st was $368,525.18. Outstanding checks as of the end of the month were $12,908.30. Outstanding payroll adjustments from 3/31, $11,241.91, and a second at $59.45, leaving the adjusted bank balance at month end at $338,429.97. The lunch program balance finished at $14,875.09. Impressed fund at $5,000, leaving the total in the account at $358,305.06. Investment balances at the end of March were $1,643,519.78, leaving the balance of all district funds at $12,001,824.84. March receipts were $205,433.26. Expenses were $977,908.15. The individual fund balances for education fund, $7,193,125.70. Building fund, $824,451.89. Bond and interest, $34,871.57. Transportation, $1,200,000. $227.50. Tort fund balance, $141,000. Into First Community in March of 1509.02. That interest rate did go up during March to 2%. The state made several distributions as well. Once driver's ed, 2382.23, and no real estate tax distributions yet. They're coming. Fund balances are in the packet.
Okay, Ed?
I think we should do the financial, the balances. For the most part, it's a big statement. I know most of the percentages are all real good within budget and everything. I mean, there are a couple that stuck out, and I just didn't know if you could say something to them later. It looks like they might be all related to IMRF, but media, crossing guard, food service, they're all hovering a little over 100% right now. And we still got a few more months left of school.
Yeah, so if you can drill down into those specific lines within IMRF, those differences are going to be caused by some of the changes in personnel that we've had as we've kind of moved throughout the year. You have to remember that all of these numbers were put together in the first fiscal quarter.
Right.
So by the end of September, the expectation is that you have some sort of a budget put together, which is really a projection of what's going to happen over the 9 months after that. And so as we kind of move through the year, not surprising where some individual lines, and keep in mind, they're in the ballpark of 1,200 individual lines in the 20-plus page document. So for one of those to shift up a little bit while others come down a little bit, one of the thing that we're really concentrating on is what each fund looks like. And so if we, project to spend whatever the number is, $8 or $9 million in the education fund, if that number is 8.3, then we want to be really close to that.
Pulling as a balance of them, the balance of all the other ones.
Exactly.
As well, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, because like the vocational ed tuition, I don't know if we just had more kids in it, but that one's already like 120%.
Exactly.
Budget.
Which is exactly, you can nail it on the head. Yeah.
Okay.
And which is obviously a fantastic thing. We like having as many kids as possible, take advantage of those vocational classes.
Yeah, as we look towards next year, obviously we adjust. Okay.
Yep.
Then I have a question about that too, on page 21 in the financial report. It looks like, so we have 2 more months in the fiscal year. It looks like there's still 2,696,625 left. It's like we've used like 79%. Is that a pretty?
Okay, so actually what you're looking at end of March numbers, right?
Okay.
Okay, so then we still have April, May, June. So this financial report really represents 3/4 of the way through. So
Okay.
we still have 3 months left. And so we're tracking in, like I said,
Okay.
it's a hard target 9 months out to try to, this is exactly where we're going to be, but we're going to be pretty close.
So 79% is a good number then for
Absolutely.
75%.
Right, for
of the
75%.
time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Motion to approve. So moved.
I'll second.
Okay, Palmisano?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Scramenti?
Yes.
Masurek?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Palmeyer? Yes. Motion carried.
Thank you, Mike.
Yes.
Do we want to do the
Students first?
students first?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
I would like to introduce, sorry, Mrs. Black, I would like to introduce our volleyball coach and our volleyball team, our 8th grade volleyball team this year. So, Miss Dorsham, would you have the honor of introducing everybody else and tell us about your season, please?
I would like to take a moment to recognize my junior high volleyball team members who have put in countless hours to make both themselves and our program better. The members of the team are Morgan Magruder, number 1, Bree Scrimshire, number 3, Morgan McDermott, number 4, Olivia Craig, number 6, Abby Scrimshire, number 7, Katie Jones, number 8, Lily Avalar, number 9, Kylie Cook, number 10, Abby Sipple, number 11, Lola Eckhart, number 12, Emma Tilges, number 13, Kendall Casput, number 14, Cameron Coots, number 15, Carly Paulmeyer, number 16, and manager Bobby Barraza. And now for a quick recap of our season. We finished the season 19-5. Some of our accomplishments: we took first place in the Can-Will Conference Tournament, beating Mantino in 3 in the championship game. We took second in the Homer Tournament, losing to Homer in 3 in the championship game. This brings us to regionals. We got the first seed in our regional, which gave us a bye in the first match. We faced Wilmington in the second round of regionals and beat them 25-8 and 25-11. For the championship game in regionals, we faced the second seed Braidwood Recuster and defeated them 25-6 and 25-17. We then hosted sectionals and took on Calumet City Wentworth. We defeated them by a score of 25-16 and 25-12, which led us to state. The first round, I could tell my girls were nervous, as we faced Shelbyville, who had a record of 22-2. We played neck and neck with them. We lost the first set 23-25, but came back and won the next two, 26-24 and 25-21. In the semifinals, we faced Mossville with a record of 25-0. Although we put up a huge fight in the first set and we played really well, we lost 23-25. This got in our heads and we let them take the second set from us as well, 13-25. After a tough loss, we had to turn right around and play for third and fourth against Stoughton, which was another tough team. We played them point for point, and it was back and forth the entire game. We took the first set 28-26. However, we started to lose steam, and we fell short the next two, 17-25 and 15-25. so we took 4th in state. Although this was not the ending that we had hoped for, I believe these girls grew as players and learned lessons that will stay with them for life. They accomplished big things this year, and I have lots to be proud of.
And Mossville eventually did win. And to someone on that team tells me that they have a Division I recruit who's about 6 foot, and she's ridiculous. So, I mean, we did a really nice job. So, Ms. Dersham, because I keep saying Dorsham or something for the 14th straight year, so I'll get it right one of these years.
Ms. D, just
Yeah.
shorten that.
So, thank you.
I have the honor of recognizing, well, there's 6 listed, but there are 5 here. So if my 5 Illinois State scholars could please stand on up. So these 5/6, Jed's not here, students were recognized by the state of Illinois. What they do is they pull the information from SIS, which is the Student Information System, which all of our data from this school goes down to the state. And that includes your SATs, your class rank, your GPA, etc. And they put this into a formula that someone who makes a lot more money than I do come up with, and they spit out these names. And so you can Google it and you can figure it out. And so we actually have these 6 wonderful students who meet the requirements. And those requirements are they attend a high school that is in Illinois. You do? So good job on that one. And then they're in the top half of their graduating class, which they are. And then the most important thing, I think, when it comes to the scholar part of it is they are all in the 95th percentile or higher in their SAT or ACT score. So that is amazing. That's a nationwide thing. That's not just Illinois. So kudos to you guys. So at the very end, we have, I don't have numbers like Ms. D, so I'm not going to give them numbers. But we have Melissa Stanovich, our first one. Christy Weisel is our second in line. Dana Young, Carla Snyder, Robert Capello, and then Jed Vergara is not here right now. So there is a little plaque, picture frame, with their names right here. It says 2019 State Scholars. If you ever happen to walk down our academic hallway, you'll see their names always in our hallway. So congratulations to, we're honored to have you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Dave Bunty, you'd like to address the board.
Yes. There's been some discussion. This is regarding the golf team's home course. I know the boys have heard some discussion about the possibility of moving the home course back to Cardinal Creek. And I know on behalf of the boys and really the girls team, because both the girls and the boys teams are really thriving in this town. I think a lot of it has to do with Balmoral, the facilities. They have the facilities like a driving range that Cardinal Creek does not have. And they have a professional on site as well. And the boys and the girls have utilized him as well. So it's our hope that for the next year, for the next school year, that Balmoral Woods will be utilized as the home course for the girls and boys team.
Thank you. Mr. Pena.
Sir, I just want to comment on EBRS that happened here last month on the 18th. Speaking for my wife and I, we're very pleased that it happened. We were both here to participate. We also participated in the active shooter that was hosted here. So great job.
EBRS is what?
The escape, barricade, resist, and survive training they had here. So thank you. It's long overdue, but it's about time. And I believe Mr. Gann was the spearhead of the whole thing, from what I understand. So thank you, sir, for taking on that responsibility, and we'd like to see more of it.
We'd like to see involvement with the children,
Right.
age-appropriate wise, as time goes
Right,
on.
and we'll be here for the multi-agency that's going on here this month,
On the 19th.
on the 19th. But I tell you what we would like to see, school board members, current, new ones coming in, maybe more, well, there were quite a few teachers there for the EBRS, but just to come out and see what it's all about and what goes on. to get a better understanding of, what takes place. That's all, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you. Adriana Machinko, do you want to take these separately since they're the same topic, or do you want to do them together?
Apparently I'm gonna talk.
Okay.
So it's like Julie and I kind of doing this together, so if I miss something, maybe she will. I know the 5th and 8th graders took a survey about what they would like to see in the schools. And a lot of, this is like really coming from our kids, they would really love to see soccer as a junior high sport in the spring versus the fall, because there is 7 sports right now for girls, only 5 for boys, but a bulk of them are in the fall: baseball, softball, golf. But in the spring, there's only track. And we have a ton of kids who play soccer. If you go to Mantino from August to October, there's at least 2 to 4 teams at every age group from U4 to U12 of Beecher kids. And they usually take first, second place. They're competitive and they're playing. Both of us have kids who choose to play travel, as do a lot of kids at the junior high, because there is no other place to play soccer after Mantino.
And there's a lot of families that would love to play travel, but financially they can't, but they would love for their kids to still continue to, I mean, we go from NYSA and then they have this big lag and then they jump to high school. And I know for a fact that Coach Dawn would love to see the junior high to keep our kids going. I do here in Homewood, and this is what sparked my my thing, is there's a lot of towns that now host, that now have junior high teams. Kankakee, Stager, Washington Heights in Washington School in Chicago Heights, Homewood, Flossmoor, Robbins, a few Indiana schools. There's a lot more junior high teams locally that now we can go into a division with them. So it's being seen a lot more in the junior highs. We already have the soccer field back there that can be utilized. My husband and I, about 3 years ago, we put on a, as we call, Beecher FC football club camp. Within 1 month, we had 80 plus kids sign up for this camp. And we did it for 3 weeks long. They had a blast. The money that was paid for that, for the equipment and stuff, would be more than all. Coaching for the first year, just to get the ball rolling. But there's something that there's a huge amount of families in Beecher that are definitely for a junior high soccer team.
If you're looking like for numbers, for 12 years as an assistant and a head coach, the strength of your high school program is directly related to your feeder program. And having another 1 to 3 years of instruction with coaches who can work with Dawn and the other staff members to have the same philosophy, the same styles, and really learn like the baseball teams do and the volleyball teams do, will just strengthen the high school program. And hopefully, as an athletic department, if that's what you're supporting is what the kids want, and to develop that program, we have the kids. And if you know any one of us, you've got parents, we're always there. So that's what the kids have wanted. And I know that a lot of them,
It keeps coming up again
Yeah,
and again and
over
again
and
and
over.
again. It's not dying. It hasn't been a once or twice talk of thing. It's every year. Are we getting it? Are we getting it? So this is the year that we finally said, all right, we're coming to the board as parents. There's a bunch of parents in here that are in full support of it. I did post a thing on Facebook asking parents what they're interested, and I actually found that a few of our past and present coaches from our club team said junior high is a must if you want to do well in high school. And even our high school teams do well, but just to give it that extra boost, we're looking for junior high for sure.
Now, is this co-ed or separate teams?
You can do both. IHSA has it as emerging, and so you can start out as co-ed. Title IX lets you have, if there's not a boys team, girls can join. There's like 5 or 6 schools listed. They don't limit you. You can play anybody you're willing to try to. As long as you'd be emerging until they have enough for like a conference, a state series. So it wouldn't necessarily be jumping in a full blown. They could set up like, like hey, these 10 schools kind of do a run around, and the IHSA would do that. The school just has to put into the IESA that we want to be an emergent school, and your name would be listed, and then as they get interest, they would start to develop schedules.
And the athletic department has been told this in the past. I've had discussions with Ackerman, I've brought it up to Mr. Ogden. I mean, there's been discussions I've brought up. Yeah, so thank you. I mean, I know the principal of Stager even called me at Central and said, hey, are you guys ready for a team? We're looking for somebody.
And we're hoping that if Beecher gets
follow.
on, then maybe Piatone will. Maybe, I mean, they're huge in soccer too with the whole MYSA, Mantino, Piatone. I mean, it's always a huge rivalry during all of our fall soccer, rec soccer stuff. I definitely think if we started the ball rolling, a lot of other schools would join in because they were in the same spot we were in. There wasn't enough teams to play around. But now that there's more and more coming, I think the interest is definitely
You just look at the old Bill tournament.
The schools that you mentioned, are they fall or are they all
It's spring.
They're all
So
spring.
it
All those
wouldn't-
schools that you
yeah,
mentioned are
all of
spring.
this is spring, so
Yeah.
it wouldn't interfere with
Baseball
baseball, wouldn't
and fall.
interfere with softball. That we know that's our, that's Beecher's very, that's our sport too. So it wouldn't interfere with,
But it will only interfere with track, so.
It'll
we have to
interfere with
choose.
It only be 1 versus like 4 in the
Yes.
fall.
Now, I have to say for track right now, my son, Mason, he signed up this year because he just wanted to do a sport. And even the coach was like, oh, there's a lot of kids because that's the only thing they're able to do. They have 60+ kids that they're trying to just put in different things. I mean, as much as she loves it, I'm sure she would be okay with losing a couple so that they had a little bit of, just spread it out a little bit more so they're not bombarded. She had to go and find 2 extra coaches at the last minute because so many kids signed up. So we have the bodies to be able to play.
And we'll get the results tonight, Mike.
And Old Mill is also Limestone and Bradley, and a couple others. So those are schools in our conference, because Bug and Bradley Central, Herscher, all those towns have teams in Old Mill. And they field 1 to 2 teams as well. They go under different names like Dynamo or whatever, but it's Bradley, Bourbonnais. But I mean, we have the kids here, and they're interested. And I know like my son, when he got his jersey that said Beecher, he was just so thrilled to finally play with all of his friends. And really just like, they love playing for their town. And I really think that if you look at the 3rd, 4th, 5th graders, there are the numbers there if the kids know that we have it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not worried. I mean, just being that I have a junior high son, and my husband and I have coached, as well as Brian has, but we have, my husband and I, we have, and her husband actually too, we have, for years, we put together our own little travel team because they wanted to play, and we were having to turn down kids because we had too many on the team. We definitely have enough kids to make a team for junior high.
Okay, thank you. I see Mr. Cox taking voluminous notes, and he will direct that somewhere. Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Meyer.
Well, speaking of that survey that I told Mr. Palmisano and our board last month that I would have the results to share with you, and I will share it, and I will talk about it. And Mr. Palmisano is very good. He has brought this up for
So feel free to leave.
I'll take the hint.
No, we did take the,
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So my talking point today is exactly what was brought up. And Mr. Palmisano, I would say at least probably the past 2, if not 3 years, this has been brought up. Because I think Bob's been here too, and with Ken, we talked about it.
Ken Ackerman for a while too.
And so I know in the Canwell, 3 years ago when Mr. Palmisano brought this up, there was zero interest. Even from the IESA, it's still not sanctioned. But they have to figure out when, where, how, and like you said. So it would be a spring sport. It would be co-ed if we get enough people to do it. Now, you can do whatever you want. As the board, you guys can decide however you want to do things. But with our responses, I did 5 through 8. Probably should have done 5 through 7. I probably shouldn't have worried about the 8th grade, but I was worried about what the 8th grade view was. And so I took their opinion. So we had 286 responses from 5th through 8th grade. Soccer is number 1 with 153, which is 54%. Number 2 is boys volleyball at 43%. Bowling is 3rd, tennis. Then it went to like art club, Spanish, chess club, football, nap time, all those things. So I think that nap time was the 5th grade. I don't remember. No. But one of the things that you have discussed is Mantino. Mantino, and I live there, but my kids don't play soccer. But one of the big things with Mantino is they didn't want to mess up that MY, whatever it's called. But I think now they are willing to. Piatone.
So poorly run anyway, Frank.
I don't know. But Piatone, and Mr. Palmisano told me, I think it was the beginning of this year or was last year, that the Piatone coach contacted him about it. So I do believe, and I know you mentioned the schools up north, and Mr. Palmisano also said, it's closer to some of these than going to Limestone or in our conference. So whatever, however all that works. But I do believe some of the schools in the Canwell will go to this. The Canwell ADs just met last week. They will also meet in August again at the beginning of the year when we all meet. And I think it will be another discussion piece, because if we're not playing until spring, we can figure that out depending on how many schools. But also the word is, there's a couple that are ready to go next year. There's a couple that aren't going to go next year, but the following year, because they're going to try a different sport first. They're not going to initiate several right away. And like you said, with the facilities, we do have something out there, but right now we also have the high school team practicing at our facility. So we'd have to work out some things, but again, I don't think it's brain surgery to make a schedule and we make it work. But those are our numbers. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I left out.
What did you mean by it was going to mess up MYSA? Because that's in the fall. That was always in the fall. Do you lose eligibility?
No, I just think I think that what Mantino didn't want to get rid of having everybody down there, because I think it was a decent moneymaker for them, per se, besides everything else. And apparently they don't run a good program. I thought they did because everybody went there, but maybe they don't. But I'm just thinking that...
They don't like Beecher too much.
They just don't like Beecher because we take it.
Good for them, sorry. But to mess up that, I think that they just wanted to stay away. Mantino wanted to stay away from that because that organization ran soccer, and I just don't think they wanted to break it up. Now I think they're willing to break it up because I think they're one of the schools that possibly could do it next year.
With the AD,
I think
with the
there's some
AD conference,
stuff in the background that there's problems.
Mike, with the AD conference, are you looking at a 6th grade team, a 7th grade team, an 8th grade?
Here's the other issue. So there'd be one, allegedly, from what we understand from the IESA, there would be one team. And what some people have a problem with would be a 6th grade girl playing against an 8th grade boy, but that's just how it works. If you're that good, then you're going to play. Right. But there would be one team only, allegedly. That's what we have been told.
Because obviously you're looking at these numbers and there would have to be a definite tryout.
Yes.
When you look at this.
And to tell you that truly 153 kids won it, I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, there's nap time on there that received quite a bit of percentage, and I bet they probably want that.
What was the percentage?
Nap time? Nap time is Nap time is 18%.
53 students.
53 people want
It's
nap
up there.
time. Boom.
To the club.
Oh, that'd be
Yes, that's what I'm saying, but, you know, but no, that has been a concern of the ADs. They brought that up last week, that there are some parents out there that were concerned about a 6th grade girl going against an 8th grade boy. But again, it would be one team, and that's how you make it work.
Taya would take them.
Because I know it's not contractually in the
It is
teacher's
not.
contract right now.
It is not. And it's
So-
something the board would have to look at, obviously,
Right.
facilities, coaches, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, but it has been, I mean, I don't remember it being number one. I think football has been number one for most years, but I think finally, a lot of people figured out football's probably not going to come to Beecher, and I think they've gotten, maybe, but I think most people now have chosen to go Peatone or to go to Crete or wherever. So that's what I know. You've got the numbers, so thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Sorry.
One more?
Thank you for your service. I appreciate all that you have done and all that you will do. Continue on from here, but thank you. Sorry about that.
I do have a question about your report.
Go ahead.
The second offense with the drug possession?
Yes.
Was that the second offense with drugs?
Yes.
Or was that second offense of that degree?
Can I answer that?
We should probably go in closed session if we're going to talk about this.
We'll handle that later. In executive, because it's on the,
Individual student.
it's going to come up later.
All right.
Okay.
It's a Publix meeting, just so
Mr. Martin,
everybody
can I-
knows.
Can I say
Publix
that-
meeting. I guess you guys don't need to know.
The emails that you sent to the parents and the guardians, I think are just top notch. You really explain everything really well and just a nice detailed.
I can't take credit for all that.
Yes, you can.
No, but
Yes,
thank you.
can.
But thank you. I've got a lot of good people that work in Beecher Junior High, so.
But your leadership.
Okay, thanks, but there's a lot of good people that work at Beecher Junior High, so I seek knowledgeable people, so that help. But
Yes,
thank you.
they do.
Nicole, Mrs. Black?
Oh, sorry. I have quite a few things in my report. I'm just going to highlight a few of them. Under personnel, I wanted to highlight changes that will be happening at our school for next year. With the open positions that have presented themselves, I offered the staff if anybody wanted to move to any of those open positions before I decided what grade level we would be hiring for. Along those lines, if you read in here, Mrs. Gleva, who's currently a second grade teacher, and Mrs. Irwin, who's a fourth grade teacher, the two of them will be switching positions. And then also Mrs. Kopek, who was our hire partway through the year this year for third grade, she will be moving into the second grade position that Mrs. Reel is in right now. And we will be hiring for the additional fourth grade section that will be created next year based on the numbers of third grade this year. Should those numbers stay the same, that would be an additional fourth grade section. And then we will also be hiring for a special education cross-categorical teacher as well. And I started looking through all of those. Mrs. Gordon and myself will be working together to schedule interviews for those. Hopefully, at our next month's meeting, we will have recommendations to bring to you for those hires. And then the other thing I wanted to highlight, the second bullet point under miscellaneous. Right now, our EC program that we have an EC program that runs afternoon only. If numbers present themselves in years past, we have had a morning and an afternoon session. One of the things that Mrs. Gordon brought to my attention is every year when she gets information back from the state about her programs and all of that, one of the things they really encourage her to do is to have our EC program be a blended program, not only special education students. So looking at that and she and I talking, we decided that next year would be a great opportunity, and we spoke with Mr. Cox and he agreed next year would be a great opportunity to make our EC program a blended program. So what that would mean is we would have a morning and afternoon session starting from the beginning of the year that wouldn't be dependent on numbers. And then we would also, because every year we screen students for the EC program, and sometimes there are students who make it in, and sometimes there are students who don't. But we know that having them exposed to an extra couple of years of school would really be helpful to them. We also have students who come in and see us for walk-in speech services that would also be eligible to be part of this program. So next year, we are going to start that blended program. And it's really exciting that we'll be able to service quite a few more students who are really at-risk, students that we know are going to need a little bit more help than what they're currently getting. And also, because we already have Mrs. Barber at our school, who is that EC teacher in the afternoon, and Mrs. Rosbach, who's also her aide, we wouldn't be hiring any new staff in order to do this. So we would have a morning and afternoon class that would be blended, which the state would really like us to do, and we'll be able to service more of our littlest learners.
Can I ask a couple of follow-up on that one?
Sure.
So the cross-cap class, that's completely separate?
Absolutely.
It wouldn't touch or affect this one?
No.
So that'd still be there, okay. Are there extra grants going into this one? There are a lot of like early childhood grants that really help with these early childhood programs. I mean, I know where I'm at, we have to do certain things because we're funded so much.
Well, we don't currently get any special funding for that. I'm sure we could look into things like that, but right now we don't. We're able to do that without adding any additional staff or any additional cost to the district and servicing those kids. So we could certainly look into that.
Yeah. Okay.
Consider an email of possibilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it goes, you prioritize the students that automatically qualify, and then how do you decide on the rest of the students?
So there's a rubric that the state has you use, and it very much outlines and weighs indicators with respect to different criteria that students might face with particular at-risk.
At-risk students.
Right, and so then once that list is established and it's weighted, then you just kind of go by scores, and then we would start filling with non-IEP students until we get to a comfortable number, and still make sure that we leave plenty of room for students who come in, so.
When you do the screening,
Well, we have there are 4 or 5 different screenings, EC screenings that go on throughout the school year. A couple of them are at our building, some of them are at Peatone. They're kind of spread because we have SOIC as our partner, so some of them are spread out in different places. But we always do at least 2 or 3 at our building throughout the year. So when students or when parents call, we always have dates to give them that they can bring the kids in. We also do, just last year, we started screening all of our incoming kindergarten students as well. So it gives us an idea. Sometimes we let parents know, hey, they don't have all the skills they need. It might be worth, maybe getting them into a preschool program or doing things like that. So we screen all of our kindergartners as well.
So that same child who wasn't eligible for the program this September, if they want to come back.
Right, exactly.
They let them know.
We already have a list of students who just barely missed joining our EC program, that were kind of our younger students who wouldn't be eligible for kindergarten yet. So those would be some of the first people that we would look at for that program.
And everyone will have to qualify for it.
Everyone will have to qualify through at-risk.
Right.
Right, but yes, not every student will have an IEP.
Right, okay. But if my child comes in and they're just like, they're doing fine and they're speaking at grade level or, age level.
No,
they would be eligible. Okay.
That sounds like a good idea.
Good.
I don't think you would need approval for that, it's just.
No, right, I just wanted to let you guys know.
Thank you, that
just
sounds
letting you know.
like a great idea. I like that they're gonna have other students that might be a little bit, that aren't all special ed. That's great.
Any other questions? Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gaham?
Sir, thank you. All right, so the first little highlight I'm going to say is Mr. Steve Sarson. They won our Bobcat of the Quarter 3. So that is proof to show you that anybody really can win that award. No, he is well deserving. That man does a lot of work for our kids, and so he's well deserving of it. So I'm going to highlight 2 things from my report. The first one is a little bit later on you're going to be looking at the social studies adoption. And so I'm hoping the flyers came through in color. I know I copied them in color, but yeah, anyway.
They were legible.
Oh, fantastic.
Somewhat.
So one of the important things when we look at, and this came out of the curriculum committee, I believe, that when we met, was making sure that when we actually adopt textbooks, that it's just not a book and then go. So both of the sets that our social studies team found are just a book and go. Both of them, one of them is called Launchpad. I'm sorry, I should have it in my hand. It'd be a responsible thing to do. One's called Launchpad, and that is part of the AP adoption book. And then the other one is Learn Smart, which is part of the McGraw-Hill series. It is an adaptive learning online tool, which means that when the teacher sets up an assessment for the student and sends out the very first one, the student does the assessment, and then the computer generates the weaknesses in the student's understanding, and they will then target that growth for that individualized student until that benchmark or that area is actually met for those students. And it's a year-long progress. So that's the big thing that this is bringing to it. Also, the teacher, once they give that assessment out, they can go back and find out, hey, I noticed this test, number 6, 25% of the kids answered A, which is wrong. So now me as a teacher can go back electronically, and it's at fingertips, and say, okay, why is A seem to be an issue with my students? So that is as a former teacher and as an educator, that is significant. Because now it can show not only where my students are misunderstanding, but where I'm failing as a teacher. Because if my kids aren't all getting it, it's not always the kids, maybe it's just how I'm wording it or how the question's worded. So that is a very, very neat thing that this program does. So that's kind of the big seller to it. And then, it has all the other stuff, teacher book, it's online, all those kind of things. So the things that can be there are there. But this is kind of one of those additional little perks that they've added to it. So next year when we start looking at other series for other courses, this is something I'm going to ask my math teachers or my English teachers or whoever to look into. I want to find some kind of individualized growth component to our online programming. So I was very happy that Mr. Daly, Mr. DuBois, and Mr. Lamonka found this for us. And he has shared
Next year, yep, for us. Yep.
with Mr. Thomas at the 8th grade, because McGraw-Hill actually has an 8th grade version of their textbook. Feeds right into the high school, and it will have the exact same thing. So I'm not going to make the decision for Mr. Thomas. I'm going to trust his judgment, but at least he gives it to us. And then the other thing I want to highlight is I got news today. I love when I get news on board days because it makes me seem a little bit better than I am. For Prairie State. So right now we have 31 students interested. So again, I have to reiterate this. This is a Prairie State course that Prairie State is in charge of. We are the host. So Prairie State has, it's them. We are just saying, use our building, use our kids, we want this. So when Prairie State says, I think they call me Jack. Do they call me Jack or Mr. Gaham?
I would call you Jack.
Well, of course you would. All right, Jack. This is what we need from you. So we need you to take the entrance exam. So on the 23rd, those 31 students are going to be taking the exam at Beecher High School for the entrance. Beth Wyatt, what? You guys don't know her last name. Wyatt. Beth Wyatt will be coming out from Prairie State and giving those 31 students the test. A standard acceptance to Prairie State is English 101, so Beth says the students should qualify for English 101. We have to find some way to get that 31 down to 25, and so we've been working with Prairie State, how can we make sure that our kids benefit from this, but also Prairie State, we match your requirements. So from there, we'll start the application process and move on down the line. But I actually have a firm date, so if you're one of those 31 students or parents, if you're watching at home, expect that on the 23rd.
25 is the max for the class?
Yes, yep. And then they'll have a waiting list like any other college
Got
course.
it. So it would be Prairie State's determination who's going to get.
So what they've kind of said what they would like to see is once the 101 and you qualify for it, let's say 30 of the 31 qualify for it, then it's you have to apply, and then the first one to get actually enrolled in the class, which means you're either on a payment plan or you've made those payments, and then Prairie State says, yes, you are our student, and they simply ship me a name and say, hey, Mr. Bunty is registered.
Got it.
Yeah. So,
did I read that you're bringing back honors world history?
So yes, because College Board has not listened to our people, by our people I mean the teachers of Illinois. They have made it an AP Modern History, which we don't teach. It's a disservice because it's basically all the religions, but we don't teach the religions because that's part of old history. So what we're going to do is we're going to change that AP class to a World History Honors. And then in 3 years, once that cycles through and our sophomores have graduated, so the freshmen this year will have an elective World History AP class as a senior, if they would like to take it. Because Mr. Du Bois is going to focus that honors class on that religion aspect, and then we'll hopefully provide that opportunity for them in the future.
Yeah, you already advised us in February about that, because that's when the schedules were coming out.
100%.
Yep, thank you.
Now that, you're buying AP American History, AP World, that's great. I think they switched that book like the next year as soon as they came out. So now you're coming up with new books, new textbooks, and that's great.
And Mr. Daly has done it.
They revamped it completely.
And Mr. Daly's even has offered to, didn't offer, he did it. We have a U.S. History Honors class that he's actually going to be using the AP book and changing, he's changing the rigor of it. He's not making it AP level, but it's still, it's a little bit more advanced than the honor in the regular class. So we're creating a lot of good things here at the high school, and I'm very proud of our staff.
And the grading scale, we discussed that when we discussed the handbooks. Is that when we approved the grading scale?
So the board actually approved policy on grading scale last month. Last month, the board reapproved 6280, which says that the superintendent and the administration establish a grading scale. And so the grading scale that we're trying to align will be a part of the handbook process. And so the grading scale, the unified grading scale will be in every handbook, and that process will be probably, May, June? Is that when we're looking at for?
Yeah, I think we're trying to adopt first reading.
Yep, yep. So that'll be May, June.
It'll be part of the new, or you're saying it was already approved?
Has not been approved. It'll be part of the next handbook for the next school
Because the way
year.
it's written, it looked like the administration decided, and I was saying, I remember we had long discussions about what was an A+, that it was a board decision.
Sure,
Okay.
sure. Nope, it'll be in every school's handbook. You bet.
And also, I discovered I failed you. I didn't put the sports attachment on there. I will forward that to Ms. Held tomorrow, and she will forward it to you. So I apologize.
What about the weight of grades?
That will also be a part of the handbook that's introduced in May and June.
Is the cooking club a real thing?
Yeah, so Mr. Sarseny, Bob Kevin Corkery, his volunteering his time, and we have 4 seniors and a junior who are part of it, and they use Ms. D's kitchen after school. One day they came in the morning and they asked staff who would like breakfast, so we bought breakfast from it, and it's new this year, and it's really, really cool.
I think that's awesome. Are any of them, the students going on to culinary trade school?
None of the ones that are in the cooking club. But they can cook, and they make a mean pancake, I can tell you that.
I've been enjoying the fruits of the class at home. Emily didn't do the club, but she's in the home ec. That's been kind of cool, so yeah.
Anything else for me?
Thank you.
All right, as a last piece, I genuinely want to thank you guys for all you've done in your service, especially giving a guy like me an opportunity to be the principal here. So thank you so much for your service.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Jane. Mr.
Yeah.
Do you want to do?
I'll go first.
You go first?
I'll go
Okay.
first. Mr. Stool will join me.
Okay.
The first thing that I wanted to say 2 quick things. Just to let everyone know that I've been doing some committee work with those from from all across our organization and community, board members. I know that in the committees that I've hosted, the majority of the school board members have participated. I've had parents, staff members, students, and this cross-section has done a lot of work over the last 2 months. That work is going to start showing up in my blog. As a matter of fact, if you'll look on my blog today, was just posted. The recommendations that that committee gave to me with respect to student opportunities and supports. Mr. Mazurek, you're probably going to want to read that. You're probably going to smile when you do. Okay?
I've seen some.
And so really appreciate that work, and then we'll make sure that all of that work is nice and public, so then it can continue to have spark lots of conversations.
Could we give it some other name than committee, because it's confused with a board committee?
It is.
Sure, I will come up with a different name.
Thank you.
You bet.
By 12 tonight, no.
Right, no worries.
You have been, steering committee has been working better. I agree, but I think when it's steering committee helps, because you've been using that term more in the last month, I know.
Okay.
So it helps.
Okay, we'll take care of that, you bet. And also, I'm gonna speak candidly, is that, as you all know, as a superintendent of schools, it's not my first rodeo. This is my 17th year as a superintendent of schools. And moving my family over the summer and starting to form a new relationship with this current board, took a few months for us to get traction. And I'm going to tell you what, since about the 1st of October, this board has been very high functioning. This board has really helped myself and our organization really move forward. And so, as administrators, we work with whoever's here. And so, we welcome our new board members, obviously, but I sincerely will tell you that Janet and Ed and Karen, you'll be missed, and I'm very proud of the work that we've been able to do together in the last few months. So, thank you.
I will say, I see one newly elected board member. I don't know where the other two are at, so Julie, thank you
It's been
for
an honor
coming
to watch,
and
seeing
learning,
you guys the last few years, really.
because it's not easy. But I hope good things will continue.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all for everything, really.
And with that applause, Mr. Stanula, would you like to join me? So as you know, on a rotational basis, I ask very key figures in our organization to come and have quick conversations with the board to allow you to continue to have a connection with those people. And so Mr. Stanula has been gracious enough to join us this evening. So all yours, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Brad. So I don't have a written report, because I just don't. But
You're a Sox fan, what do we expect?
I know. So the idea for facilities, for district facilities or anywhere, is to be proactive rather than reactive. Proactive, even though it's going to be items that you probably don't notice and items that you think cost way too much. Why do I need this? But what that really does is that it makes the reactive part of facilities less of an emergency and costs less money. And for years and years, I've always preached in front of the board, dollars today are cheaper than dollars tomorrow. So I want to thank all these board members that finally listened to me and said that dollars today are cheaper than dollars tomorrow. For instance, the window replacements and the roof replacements. Those are definitely proactive things that were done this last few years. This last summer we had the chimney here repaired because it was becoming very dangerous, and that would have been an emergency reactive severe issue. So we took that proactive measure, took some of the height down, tuck pointed it all, repaired bricks. That was something that I'm glad that everybody was on board and had that done. Some of the other things that are doing it that maybe you don't notice, you do notice that I've gone around and replaced hallway lights, the gym lights certainly here at the junior high, with LED fixtures, which, we didn't need to change the bulbs out. However, LED fixtures are fixtures of the future, They cost way, way less to run. They last for 20 years, which means I don't have to rent a lift to change bulbs, except when the volleyball team. Other than that, it's safe. So that's saving money, even though there's some upfront costs. In the long run, is a proactive measure that makes the reactive dollars so much less. Some of the other things that have been done was all of the exhaust fans throughout the school, not only this school, but even the elementary school and the junior high, were all repaired. They were neglected, I guess, for years and years before my time. Years and years they were neglected. So there was a lot of dollars involved in that. I understand that. However, it's making the air quality better. It's helping cool the schools down because we all know that we don't have air conditioning in most of the buildings. So that is a proactive thing that maybe you didn't notice, but it's going to save on the wear and tear of the building. The progression of the roofs being changed out, we're about at the point now where the roofs, the old roofs, which are the foam roofs and some of the tar chip roofs, I have like one or two left at the junior high, or at the elementary school, and then we're all caught up.
But
until the rubber roofs start going, which it will be, the useful lifespan of that is about 20, maybe 25 years, which is the whole 2000 edition here, coming up to the junior high, parts of the elementary school. So, but it's a cycle. So what we're inspecting the roofs on a constant basis, getting them, if there is a leak, getting on the repairs right away so that I can stretch as much as that roof as I can. But we're getting rid of the older roofs, which is, while we're getting rid of the older roofs, increasing the insulation on them so that it helps with the heating costs and the cooling costs of all the buildings. One of the other programs that I would like to start, as far as, again, being proactive, is replacing some of the sidewalks throughout the district. The sidewalks have been around since, probably the 30s in some areas. They're cracked, they're heaving. I've already met with a couple of companies that do either mud jacking or grading or cutting of the sidewalks to try to get them smooth. Some of them can't be done because they're so cracked. I want to get those replaced because they're a tripping hazard. One, plus snow removal. It's very jarring at 5 o'clock in the morning when you're running that snowplow down the sidewalk and you hit that curb and it just knocks you right into the windshield. So that we want to try to get done. Also, and this was mentioned at one of those, I don't want to say committee meeting, whatever those were.
Facility meeting.
Facilities, gatherings, yes, the gatherings was seal coating. So if we would have started a program of seal coating a number of years ago and had it on a rotational basis every 2 to 3 years, we wouldn't have the potholes that we're having in the elementary school and the high school. Cold patch, which I do every single year, every the spring through the summer, it just doesn't last. But seal coating, what that does, it keeps it from drying out, and it just extends the lifespan of all the pavement. I didn't really write notes. Oh, the basketball court here is another one. It is way overdue as far as getting resurfaced, and I would love to see that thing sanded down, recoated, repainted, because we can keep putting layers and layers and layers of finish on it. What's happening is that every year there's blisters that come up. The surface of the court gets slick because it's harder to maintain, and then you get injuries. You get kids slipping and sliding. It's harder to clean and keep that floor safe if we don't keep on a better program than what we're doing now, which is just recoating it every year. If you see the den that was redone 2 years ago, it looks beautiful, and it's a much better surface, even though that was built in 1956, than it is our new gym that was built in 2000. So that's about as It's already 8 o'clock, so I don't know how much longer you want me to talk. I will certainly answer any questions.
And we will have a proposal for the May meeting on resurfacing the high school gym for the board's consideration.
Yes, we
Yep.
will, yep.
Where does, Mike, real quick, where does our driveway here at the high school fall in line before we decide to start seal coating it?
It cannot, it would not be seal coated at this point. It's
Well, where's our priority at on that? I mean,
priority?
Yeah, it should be up there, right?
compared to, to what?
Well, I saw, Mr. Cox, in your notes, in your superintendent report, you were concentrating on the junior high.
Right.
So that's not old enough that gets, it can be saved. So we
I
can,
know,
we
but I
can
got a
save
Jeep and
that.
I'm fine, but somebody's gonna bust a tire out of that thing.
Yep. And so the rest of the drives, yes, we would like to get the junior high seal coated so we can extend the life on that asphalt. But all of the other work with respect to the high school and elementary school drives, those are definitely something that are already on schedule to seriously examine because they need.
It's bad.
They're getting bad. Horrible.
No, they're not getting,
Yeah,
they are
I
bad.
found a freshman at the bottom of the.
I dodged them.
Did you save it? Did you save them?
I said I'm late. No.
Mike, are there any other major issues that you foresee in the near future for
Well,
any of the buildings?
Larry, every day is different. I never know, with that freeze that we had in February, I mean, that was a $32,000 freeze, that 2 days. Thankfully, the insurance company is picking all that up. But we maintain the boilers every month, and then every season, they're opened up, they're cleaned out. So the boilers are in good shape. What has been as far as the boilers go, is the piping in the tunnels. Although we haven't had this year, I know if I say this, it's gonna happen, but we have not had any steam leaks in any of the tunnels this year at all, where last year it was constant. When we fixed them, we try to be proactive and changed out steam traps before they got bad. And luckily, it hasn't happened this year. No, right now I got the boilers off, so maybe it won't happen this year. So that's good. We do have asbestos still in this building and at the elementary school, which is can be an issue and an expensive issue.
Yeah.
So that would be, that's up there, that's way up there, yeah. So, and then the other thing, that's sideline, is that my staff, every day they get older, of course, and I've got some that are, I mean, they all, depending on what time of year it is, they all have ailments, and I'm gonna see a big retirement, or at least turnovers very soon, and it's very difficult to get custodian help. It's very difficult. So we've already been short-staffed this last few months already, so we're trying to take care of that, but I see that as happening very soon.
Okay.
So I was at that facilities gathering, were they talking about, now it looks like there's a proposal for the high school floor resurfacing, were they talking about the elementary floor too, the gym? Or was I making,
No,
the
no.
gym at the elementary school is fine, we don't need to do that.
We did that a few years
That one was done a few years ago, so
Okay,
that one's.
so that's fine, it was at the
it
high
would be
school,
this
and
one.
it looks like we're gonna, because we got a proposal for that.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you.
Moving to old business. IT job descriptions?
Yep, we discussed this a couple months ago, and would like to have that for approval this evening.
He actually changed the job descriptions, did you guys see that? If you go in the back, they're not the same as they were the last time. I did print them actually.
Let's see.
Yes, they're in your packet for IT director, systems administrator, and technology assistant.
Yes. And so one of the things that we wanted to, the two things that we wanted to outline were the distinction between what an assistant is and what a system administrator would be, and then also to have what some of those industry certifications and how that can increase their wage.
So when you changed it, it looked like you need, am I reading this correctly? You need an associate's to move up from a technology assistant to a systems administrator?
Correct.
Do you need an associate's to get hired in as a systems administrator? Because it says associate certification or equivalent industry experience. What does that?
So that means that putting equivalent industry experience allows us to, if we have somebody who comes in with, a tremendous set of skills and experiences, yet doesn't have the degree that we can put them in that spot.
The assistant does still say or equivalent.
And that's okay.
But if you're hired in as an assistant, you need to have an associate's to get promoted to the next
Correct.
level. My concern with this was that we kind of have this one plan for this IT sector, and there's so many other sectors that need, that are looking for an increase in pay, and then how do you get, we have another proposal for the food service, and I don't see any way to move from cook to head cook to food service director, and I'm just nervous that these are the kinds of things that, people on the outside say, hey, looks like you're just giving a big raise to 3 people.
I think what we're trying to do is, as we discussed, last time we discussed this, was we're trying to create an environment where we can engage our IT employee and staff in such a way that at the end of the day keeps them here. We've had tremendous turnover in the IT staff, and that's extremely disruptive, especially as in this day and age has become more and more technological. And so this is a model to try to stem that.
Are we doing this model for any of the other sectors, the food service or aides or managers at the school who wants to be an office manager or that type of thing?
I don't know that this would apply other places. This is the only spot that we have looked at doing this so far.
Do we need a motion to approve that?
We need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank
I
you.
will.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, Goldberg,
Yes.
Scrumenti,
Yes.
Mazurik.
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
No.
Hallmeyer,
Yes.
and Palmisano.
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to the school bus purchase plan.
So the plan is right now that there isn't quite a plan yet. Want to continue to, this is a big dollar, investment, our school bus fleet. In the neighborhood of 20 buses at, between $60,000 and $90,000 a piece if you're buying new, $100,000 here, $100,000 there, pretty soon you're talking serious money. So we want to continue to do our due diligence before we bring a recommendation. We did only purchase one school bus last year, and so one of the things that we'll be continuing to look at is at least 2. Most likely, the recommendation will be for 3 buses for this summer. And between the mechanic and the transportation director and myself, the 3 of us are continuing to put our heads together to try to come up with the best scenario that will fit the needs of our fleet. I have every intention of bringing a recommendation in May.
What we're looking at,
Yeah.
right?
We're not particularly looking at new. We're also considering buses that are 1 or even 3 years old if they have low mileage. Let some other school district take that off the lot depreciation hit that all vehicles take, and so that's a possibility as well.
I did also look into, I know we talked about the minibuses being Chevrolets, the warranty on them. 'Cause I know you said 1 or 2 may have 20, 30,000 miles.
Correct.
The drivetrain warranty on the minibuses, that's a 3,500 or bigger, up to 5,500. is 5 years, 100,000 miles on drivetrain, which is engine, transmission, and differential. It is only 36,000 miles and 3 years for brakes and your typical water pump, stuff like that. But the drivetrains are warranted for 5 years, 100,000 miles.
Yep, that's good.
So when you say one small, is this more like the yellow bus, or is this more like, maybe that's what you were talking about? Like the kind of thing
They
you
were
would bring
talking
to
about
a
the mini buses
classic
going
bowl
back
or a
and
golf
forth.
match or something?
Yeah, so,
Is this like
so a
something
yellow
staff
bus,
could
that's,
drive?
a yellow bus that's 25, 29 passenger. We're not,
Okay.
we are not talking about an activity bus at this point.
Okay, and Marla, you had a really good explanation at one point that made sense to me about why that's not always a good thing. I mean, to get that activity bus, there was another level of depreciation. You said something. I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Do you remember what that was? You were a genius once, do you remember? No.
She is every day.
Marla's a genius all the time.
She's a humble genius, apparently, so, okay.
Other than depreciation is the big.
Was that what it
is the
was?
big,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, there is none.
Because, I mean,
There is none.
people tell you things, and one of the things that keeps bringing up is, well, why isn't this thing, and then the coach could drive it, and this and that, but,
And you have to have the numbers, and when you look at the numbers of all of our sports teams, they're much more, they're much larger than,
Yeah, okay.
so just the use of it is, I guess,
Wouldn't be
biggest
feasible.
concern.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So I looked in the budget and it was like unencumbered 155,000 for this school year. Would be taking the buses out of that for this year. I just wonder all these.
Would be a
expense-
next year purchase, would be in next year's budget.
after July
I'm just
1.
wondering with all these purchases, I was at I think we have a very good, I was at the gathering of the finances and it was a very good, plan that we're gonna, be looking at different areas and, but you think that this would not be part of the reserves or anything like that?
No.
These types of things?
No, I think that, I mean, as we go through the agenda items, the vast majority of things that we're gonna talk about tonight will be on next year's budget.
Which of course starts in July.
Right.
So it's
July
not-
1st.
Yep.
Right, I know.
Okay,
Yeah.
So I'll have something in there.
thank you. Approval of the cost of textbooks. The high school social science textbooks not to exceed $43,000. And the elementary and junior high grade 3 through 7 English language arts textbooks not to exceed $99,000.
are you taking that as one motion?
We can separate them.
That's fine. I said, I
It
mean,
doesn't matter to me.
I'm willing to make the motion on it,
Oh, okay.
but
I was doing both,
Yeah.
just as textbooks, but
I'll take half a step if someone wanted to. I know the committees have talked a lot about it, I know a lot about it, I just don't know if anyone else has any questions.
Did you make a motion?
go ahead, move it. Move for both, move for both.
All right, we'll move for both then, yes, so we approve them for that, you said the 43, et cetera. So.
Janet, your second?
I'll second, yes.
Any discussion?
Sounds good.
About time.
Okay, Scramenti?
Karen?
Scramenti?
Yes.
Mazurk?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Palmer?
Yes.
Palmisano?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Approval of building camera systems for the 3 schools not to exceed $28,500.
And this particular security measure will be on this year's budget. That's something that we will purchase. When I say we, I mean Mr. Duncan. We'll be purchasing this week to have an implementation really over this summer. And this is one that's really going to make a difference. I'm very excited about the ability to have other administrators look into each other's buildings in case there is a severe issue of some kind, to be able to have that teamwork, to be able to actually I'll team with the local fire and police to be able to give them access to view in a crisis and see what's going on. And so, not to mention the fact that we're going to double the number of cameras for, in a very, I know it's a big number, but compared to what we paid in the past for camera systems, this is a great value.
Aside from the obvious larger crisis situations in the police department and everything else, is the intention also to use it for, hey, who might have drawn something on the hallway I mean, like for
Of course,
smaller
of
student
course,
discipline
you bet.
review.
That's, I mean, when you double the number of cameras, we're gonna have outside, external cameras in spots that we've never had before. And so, you know, we've had conversations at this level in the last 6 months about holding students accountable and us being able to, us needing all the data possible in order to do that in as responsible manners as we can. And so this is gonna be a huge step in that direction as well.
Now, is this figure for both the cameras and for the update for the IT system?
So it is for everything with the exception of the switches on the back end. That's later and part of a separate motion.
Okay.
And those switches are actually, I think Joe says E-ratable, which means that we get about 60% of it back in through E-rate the federal government.
Okay.
Seeing a lot of this stuff come out of the superintendent committees, and when I read the things that get sent to us, I think me and you spoke in the email the other day, if we can just get a little bit more background, because I think a lot of this is coming out of these committees, and it's not
Transparent.
it's not transparent. This committee of the whole was set up so that
Right.
board members were to be involved, and it seems like you're taking these superintendent committees, and, let me finish, and taking these superintendent committees, and you're putting this stuff together, and then you're bringing them to the board meetings, and like a school bus purchase, I don't know, I know who's all involved in this, I'm hearing all about this, and again, I asked you for agendas and minutes, because people are saying if these are committees, they should be open, and this stuff should be documented. You know, like the camera system here, you know, we're gonna have Mr. Duncan purchase it, and I have the total faith in Mr. Duncan, but I'm not seeing bids, I'm not seeing a lot of things like food service job descriptions, I get that, but we're not talking about pay. There's just a lot of things coming out of these superintendent committees that I feel that are, again, these were supposed to be committees for, and I'm all for the residents to be involved, but the board is the elected board. And I'm just seeing a lot of stuff come out of here, and it's like, wow.
May I?
Go ahead.
Actually, all of the things that are on tonight's agenda are things that, as a board, you've all discussed previously. The camera system, we had Mr. Duncan recently give a presentation. He talked about the camera system. The textbooks we've talked about before. The buses we've talked about before. The IT hardware replacement, Mr. Duncan was here and has talked about before. The job descriptions, the cafeteria program, all of these things have come from previous board meetings. So I don't think it would be accurate to say that the things that we're seeing and voting on are coming anywhere other than previous board meetings.
I would get your details though. Like the bids, we used to see 3 bids
Yeah.
or something
Right.
like that. I think that's.
That's what the committee of the whole was for. That's why I took it from committees to committee of the whole. And, you know, I mean, look, you say by law you're entitled to those committees, which, that's awesome. But again, I mean, we're elected board members, and I think at the end of the day, it should come down here.
That's why I'm saying that's been our model in the past. Everything that you're seeing tonight has already been discussion at this table, at this board level.
Right. But again, we just more details. I've asked you, you know, was there minutes or, you know, or agendas or something? And we said it's not a committee, which now I understood more. But again, it comes down to the end of the table here. That's how I feel.
I like the committee of the wholes because then people can, I try to represent the people, and I don't know what they're thinking if they can't speak. And right now, they're really not supposed to speak unless they make a public comment. And they do that because they hear stuff is happening, like the golf. I mean, we've never discussed changing the golf, but you're hearing stuff, and then you're making a public comment, and there's no committee of the whole. Where would be the place where you would, you know, bring up stuff like that, where you guys can all freely tell us what you think about golf courses more easily and have a conversation. I agree, I think. But we'll discuss that with the new board, how we're gonna.
Thank you. But right now, we need approval of the camera system for the 3 schools at a price not to exceed $28,500.
So moved.
I'll second.
Mazurik?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Hallmeyer?
Yes.
Palmisano?
Yes.
Goldbrick?
Yes.
Scrimmenti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And moving on to the food service job descriptions, which are in your packet.
Were these from a basic, like, state mandate? I know that's like a state guideline, like a lot of the stuff in our policy comes from something.
We stole them
downstate.
from other districts.
I was gonna say it.
That's kind of what I mean. 'Cause
It's rather
there've been some-
obvious, yeah.
I contact our food service person a lot, you know, where I'm at, and I get the impression, there's been some major changes in the last year. I mean, as far as what's required and the certifications and the audit, it's a much different scenario than it was a year ago.
Yep.
But, okay, so it's all in there.
And we've taken the salaries from other places too.
We have yet to discuss that.
Haven't arranged those yet.
So you guys probably know where I'm going. How do you move up from a cook to a head cook to the food service director?
So that would be like in other parts of our organization, really when there are vacancies. If somebody is a cook and they've shown proficiencies, and then if there is a vacancy at a head cook position, then we would strongly consider them to move up and then replace the cook position. And this can either be treated as a first reading or a second reading, whatever the board is comfortable with.
Is there competencies they'd have to move up? I want it to seem like, oh, we're giving Mrs. Smith a raise or whatever. I want it to be like, okay, so this is how you moved up from cook to head cook. I'm not even sure, it doesn't even look like it looks like it's just more days. Am I right? We haven't discussed the pay, so.
Right, the main difference is more hours and then responsibility with respect to food prep in the primary and kinship at the junior high. Those are the main differences.
And I don't know, is it necessary that we have those steps? Because we don't have it for any of the other positions.
You mean with respect to head cook versus cook, is that what the
Well,
question is?
the step-ups. How do you step up?
With respect to almost every other position, it's when there's a vacancy in the classification above you.
But I'm just saying, I'm not sure that it's so necessary here if we don't see it in every other position.
Except in the IT position, we
But we
just
do-
did that.
Oh, okay. But, you know, we don't have a complete handbook either, so there's not much to go on or base it on.
I don't have a
Brandon,
problem
sorry,
with the creation of these positions, I just don't see any compensation with them.
You don't understand what, Ron?
I just don't see any compensation with creating the positions. I think they should all come together as one.
Oh, 3 different ones as opposed
No,
to?
there's no compensation with these. I understand we want to create them, but I don't see any compensation with them. It's just, to me, that it's creating a position and then saying, let's hire a head cook at this price. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to sit there, I'm not in the industry into cooking, but I just don't see how we create something without all the details. It's just me.
Well, it does get created. There's Steve, there's Ron, there's Blub at the restaurant. And they all know because it's delineated in a procedure. So is that what you're looking for?
No.
And
He
Ron and
thinks
Steve will
He
move
thinks
them
that we
up.
should discuss salary right now with creating position, which I don't think is necessary at this point. We're just creating the position now, and then we will.
No,
and-
yeah, that's how we do it with the teachers, or a parapro position, right? So,
And I guess just to start with the end, is that the idea is we probably wouldn't be using, is it Arbor? The idea is we're going to do this ourselves.
Right.
Correct.
That's the
That's
overarching why we're
100%
even having, so
accurate.
there are no
This is
positions
why.
because we're contracting.
Right.
Right, so that contract's
Correct.
going to be no longer.
Correct.
But in this position, we need somebody who's in charge, the head cook, who does these things.
Right.
and they would know.
And they would know. I need a motion we'll make this a first reading.
So moved.
Second.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Pallmeyer?
Yes.
Palmisano?
Yes.
Goldrick?
Yes.
Scramenti?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Motion carried.
What do you think?
Did we just,
Now that it's important.
Now we're going to create
We're gonna,
positions.
we're gonna create the positions now. Okay.
So now money matters.
Now we need to create the food service positions. One food service director and a head cook and a cook for each building.
So Mr. Mazurk's probably thinking, we don't have any pay. We're creating a position, we don't know how it's paid, that's where you're.
Now it's different.
And those obviously will be set as we hire people. Is when we would determine exactly what their experiences are, what their educations are, the things that they're bringing to the table, and that's when we would have a recommendation for wage.
Yeah, when we
Is that
created the positions for parapro and the additional teacher, we created the position, and then when we saw the candidates, that's when, according to,
There
union
was a teacher
guidelines.
schedule that was,
Right, it
there were
was-
scales
it was
already
determined
established,
on
however.
experience.
So that's how, I
He's doing
think
it
that
with
would
this.
have to be samey.
Correct.
Okay.
Do I have a motion?
So moved?
Second?
Weissel,
Yes.
Palmer,
Yes.
Palmisano,
Yes.
Goldrick,
Yes.
Scrementi,
Yes.
Mazurek,
Yes.
and Herman.
Yes.
Motion carried.
New business. It's in your packet, a suggested new substitute teacher rate.
And really, I'm not suggesting that, that the board take any action this evening, but I just want to, kind of what we've tried to do is, put something out there, think about it a little bit, and then at a later date, circle back around if we're going to make a decision. And so our substitute teacher rate, we have, it's at $90, but it's only $80 if you don't have certain licensure. Which is pretty unusual. In almost every circumstance, it's a flat rate. If you have their certificate to be able to sub, then here's your pay. With us, that's 90 and 80, and most of the districts around us are a little bit above us, 92, 94, 95. So I want kind of everybody to have that in the back of their mind that, really for next year, at the minimum, I think to bring everybody up to the 90 mark might be something that we would need to consider. But it's very difficult to find substitutes and to not.
So in other words, if they get a call from Mantino that needs a sub and Beecher.
And if Mantino's going to pay $15 more.
You're going to go where the money's at.
Okay.
And right now, if somebody is, say, a parapro, and they're asked to sub, they get the sub pay?
If they're, yes, they get the sub rate, the $90.
If they have the.
It's the same wage, whether you're
Right.
subbing for a teacher or a parapro.
Oh, I meant like, don't we use people internally? Like, today I'm a parapro, but Mrs. Smith isn't here, so
Occasionally.
now you're gonna use me
We
as
do
a
that
sub?
occasionally.
Yes.
Yep.
And they're compensated as a sub when that happens?
I don't believe so, because I believe a sub would be less than what they're making.
Correct.
Yeah.
Does anyone then, so then do you hire someone to fill in for the parapro for the day, to keep the IEP minutes?
If possible. But because our
That's our
wage.
problem.
But usually,
Right,
right,
but
usually
that's a
if we
problem.
can
Yep.
find a sub
Correct.
for
That's the
the
only reason.
teacher,
Yeah.
then we would have,
Correct.
we wouldn't be in that
It's
situation.
not ideal.
Right, right.
The IEP.
Thank you. Creation of an additional full-time school nurse. And you have that in your packet?
So moved.
Is that something we can move on today?
Huh?
Is that something we can move on today? Or was this just an informer?
Or this is just.
The board has always liked to create a position first.
Right.
We're not bringing you a candidate.
Oh, no, but I'm saying this was on the agenda was posted, if we want to make a motion to.
Oh, certainly.
Hire a nurse manager to do that.
To to create the position, yes.
Right.
We haven't started the interview process, we haven't done any of that. And I've communicated this several times, within the first 100 days, one of the things that you really try to get your pulse on is what are the things as an organization that, where are the gaps, where can students really benefit and we can get a lot of a bang for our buck. We have one school nurse, and she's amazing, but she can't be everywhere at once.
This is something I'd love to make a motion for, although I think Ron said it first, so I'd let you take it. But can this job description at least try to get someone who's IEP certified? Can that be like preference given to?
Yeah.
That way we're not contracting out to get the IEP nurses to do the health histories and spending money with Max and do that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But a regular school nurse can't go in and be the signature on an IEP meeting
So,
legally.
so I think we're talking about a couple of different things. We're not talking about, our maximum services, the vast majority, if not all, are off-site, correct? And so those are nursing services that are provided for our students as they are transported, as they go through their day off-site.
No, I mean, if there's a student who, let's just say they have an attention deficit disorder, they've come up with a new special education evaluation.
Yep.
The team comes on an initial evaluation, and we're gonna decide the student is eligible for special education services under other health impairment because of their attention deficit. You need to have a school nurse as part of that team.
Yep, and correct me
And we
if I'm
need to have
wrong,
somebody who can do
but I
that, so we're
believe
not
SOA
contracting out or
provides
doing
that.
it illegal.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what?
Ms. Caldwell does not have that.
Angie sits in our meetings.
But
So,
she's not
is
licensed
she-
as an IEP nurse.
Is she certified though? Can she sign on?
I don't know, I mean, she signs in as a participant.
No, that's not what we're talking about.
She can't legally do that.
Yeah, and so,
She can legally sign in as, if she's sitting in the meeting.
She's a
to
nurse, but she
hear-
can't be part of the evaluation team that says.
No,
we're
she's not part of an evaluation team.
so
No, but that's
Who
what
does
he's
that,
asking.
who does that domain then?
SOA provides those services for us. They would
That-
have to.
So are we contracting them extra to have a nurse fulfill that duty, just like we?
Don't know the answer to that.
I think we are.
But I very much echo your sentiment that if we can find a first certified school nurse, that would be a
That
priority.
has to be preferable. if we
Yep.
can.
That's a good point.
And this
Or
would
if
be
they're
a-
trying to meet IEP minutes to service the student with diabetes or whatever.
Yep.
they
Right.
would be able to add that.
And this would be a full-time position then, correct?
Correct.
And I mean, if you're saying we need another nurse, that's not
No.
negotiable.
Was that a second, Ed?
Yes,
Okay, Palmer,
Yes.
Palmisano,
yes.
Goldrick,
Yes.
Scrimmenti,
Yes.
Missouri.
Yes.
Herman,
Yes.
Weissel,
Yes.
motion carried.
All right. We need a reorganizational board meeting date, which would have to be after the
23rd.
23rd. It's after the 23rd, or?
I think it's at least 21, but no longer than 28. Is that right?
So Julie's also comes on the 23rd.
What's that?
The certified.
They become certified on the 23rd.
That's only if the county has given them to us.
Right, you gotta wait for the county to have them official, because
So-
right now they're
so-
still unofficial.
Yeah, so I would recommend trying to give a few days wiggle room. That's
So
why
we're
I
looking at
kind of
like
think Thursday the
25?
25th might work a little better, just because if it's Tuesday and they're not here yet, then
Are you
you plan a
available?
meeting that you can't have.
25th?
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Pardon?
It sounds good to me.
Okay.
That concert got moved to the 24th,
Would an
right?
earlier time work better for Mr. Missouri?
I'm good all the time. I'm good.
Good.
Do we have a preferred time? Do we want to go early, late,
Earlier's fine.
5:30?
Perfect.
5:30? Is it here?
It would be right here.
Thank you.
5:30?
I'm fine.
What about the other
5:30?
candidates? Oh, that's right.
Paul?
They're not here.
I'm good.
Good?
I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
5:30 on the 25th. And at this point, I will also express my gratitude to those who are going out. And there are plaques coming.
Oh,
They didn't get them
please,
done.
don't waste the money.
They're there, they're in the works, so those will be,
You never know what
Presented
might happen in
sometime.
2 years.
you never know.
You never know.
That's your tag at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I know who I am. I don't need a name.
No, I mean
don't
like
need
at
a
the
name
bottom of
tag.
the plaque.
I know who I
It's like
am.
the-
Janet, Ed, and Karen, it's been a privilege to serve with you guys. I came in with you guys 4 years ago, and I mean, we've done a lot of amazing things. I'm sad to see you guys go, and I told you guys all this on election night. I'm jubilant that I won, but at the same time, I'm disappointed you guys are not here with me. But
Just keep
I-
doing the good.
So, it's been great to work with you guys.
Just keep doing the good.
I'll miss you guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Don't
you.
worry, you'll still see me every month. I might be the first board member to sit back into the audience that keeps coming back every month.
Hey.
I too want to say thank you for all that you have done, and we're going to miss a lot of knowledge, and I will miss you, all three of you. Thank you.
Okay, moving on. Pay off balances of bus number 12 and bus number 14, which will save us approximately $600.
Yeah, it's just the, I know it's not a huge dollar amount, but we're paying 4% on a loan when we're making 2% in the bank. It's just the, fiscally, it's just the right thing to do.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Goldbrick?
Yes.
Scrumenti?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Palmeyer?
Yes.
Palmisano?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And the high school gym window repair, I believe it said it was falling out.
Yeah, there are a couple spots where you can actually,
It's been overdue.
yeah, you can stand in the gym and look out through the
Sure.
inch and a half wide crack where it just rains in.
I'll motion it.
I'll second it.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Scrumenti?
Yes.
Missouri?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Palmeyer?
Yes.
Palmisano?
Yes.
Goldbrick?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And here is the technology hardware. Approved to purchase technology hardware and services for fiscal year 2020, not to exceed $290,000. And you want to?
Sure, this was outlined in my report. This was also outlined when Mr. Duncan presented last month to us. We're to a point now with a lot of our student machines that they're aged out. We want to be able to provide technology to our students when that technology is going to work and work correctly. And so the vast majority of the $209,000 is student hardware. There's $15,000 of that is an annual cost. It's a rollover. My guess is you've never approved it before, but every year we pay licensing to Power School. And so you probably just approve it in your bills, but one of the things that we've been trying to do is actually, have a motion of larger expenditures, so I wanted to make sure that that was a part of it. And then as I alluded to before, I believe there's about $28,000 worth of switches. 60% of that will get reimbursed through the federal government. So the large chunk of this expenditure on next year's budget is student technology in their hands.
That's all those Chromebooks.
The vast majority of Chromebook, 431 Chromebooks and 111 iPads.
And this is going to be on a rotation then?
The majority of the replacements are in elementary, replacing devices anywhere from 6 to 9 years old. Initially, they were only a $200 or $200 to $300 device, so those were, most of them are going. About half of the devices are going, half the replacements are happening, or a third are happening at the high school, and no replacements at the junior high. The junior high got a great refresh last year, and that was due to their age being 6 to 9 years old last time. So there's only so much you can do at once. So since we took care of them because they had extremely old and aging computers, once we got that done, now we're working on the next phase, which is the other extremely old computers, which are again 6 to 9 year old devices. So.
And we should have one more year of what I would call fairly significant, somewhere in the neighborhood of 150,000 or so. But then after that, then we should be able to, once again, as we take this approach towards textbooks and sidewalks and technology, get on this rotation where now it's not this huge amount, and we should be able to settle back into that $75,000 a year range where we're just constantly updating and maintaining and being able to manage what we're doing.
While we're having the discussion on Power School, let me ask the administration, now's a good time to get on your Christmas list. Do you feel like you need any training along with that in terms of either the front office secretaries or whoever it is that runs all the reports? Like, do you feel like we're using Power School to its extent when it comes to you know, what accommodations are we gonna use on the IAR? You can have those in Power School and then they upload straight to the same. Do you feel like you're getting out of what you want, or do you feel like you'd wanna attach things like certain trainings and professional developments as part of Power School to the contract?
Do we get some training yearly as part of the contract?
I'm not sure about that. I know that with the
Yeah,
new
that's what I was-
registration module that we're getting, we are going to be in service on that. All the secretaries are going to be in service on how to use that new portion of it. As far as accommodations and stuff, I know we already take advantage and use that part of Power School. I know that Mr. Ogden has been working with Power School, learning how to enter discipline
That's been
and
done,
things like
yeah.
that. So
From us.
I don't know that, I know he learned about that at some point. I'm not sure if he learned about that through Power School, but I know that that is a part that I think that we would both like to look at. Mr. Ogden has been using that this year, so whether he has gained enough knowledge, which my guess is he will, to share those things with us, but that would be the only additional thing.
I mean, sometimes as part of the subscription renewal, you check a box and say that you want something for $5,000 for training. I just didn't know if that's something you wanted to.
Yeah, and my assumption is they have, webinars when you can training modules that you can sign in that's already a part of the cost.
Yeah, there's a very robust, basically like a self-help center that has complete walkthroughs of everything.
Okay.
There's also a much more expensive but pretty effective Power School University, which is always optional but not included in the contract. And that'd be where you would go to where they're having it, if it's in Florida or if it's in Chicago for a couple of years. It's wherever it is, and basically all the schools will fly out with certain key people.
Hey, Joe, if it's in Florida
Oh, Florida.
and you need somewhere to go, just let me know.
But
Yeah,
but it's
January, I'm
it's
not in
during the
summer.
summer.
It usually is,
Usually
yes.
during the summer.
Correct, good point.
I'm okay with that too.
All right, I need a motion.
This is on next year's budget?
This is next year's budget.
I'll motion it.
Second.
Okay, Mazurik?
Yes.
Herman?
Yes.
Weissel?
Yes.
Palmeyer?
Yes.
Palmisano?
Yes.
Goldberg?
Yes.
Instrumenti?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And we have some summer projects you're going to fill us in on?
Yeah, and actually, we've talked about most of these already. Once again, under that model of trying to have conversations more than one time at the board level about initiatives. Also, the one that we probably haven't touched on this evening, Mr. Game has been diligently gathering lots of different bids on the prospect of adding a digital sign out in front of this building, out on, I'm going to say Miller Street. Yep, Miller Street. And that kind of goes with, I know that this group has had kind of a larger, or I want to say a different conversation with respect to fencing as well. And so this digital sign would be kind of a part of that project as well.
Have you gotten an estimate on the electric cost, the jump in the electric bill?
Oh, no, I don't believe so.
Because way back when, 500 years ago, when the PTA insisted that there be that digital sign in front of the junior high, they never anticipated the jump.
You're working every day? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump.
The
No, I know.
jump in the electrical costs. So I know everybody thinks they're groovy to look at, they're annoying to me, but, so we have to, look at that too, because that's a cost we can never rein in.
And speaking of the fence, we approved that
500 years ago.
over 3 years ago, and I don't know if it's still sitting in a box or,
It's a different concept now.
I'm sorry?
It's a different concept, the fence, that you guys approved.
Okay.
What Mr. Cox is talking about.
Okay, but it's been paid for.
Yeah.
Right.
Where's it sitting at?
That's what I'm saying, it's completely.
Do we actually have a fence somewhere
No,
on
but
site?
I'm
3 or
being
4 years ago,
facetious,
it-
Brad,
Oh.
because it was budgeted, it was paid for. My next question is,
So it
where
hasn't
is
actually
it?
been paid for, like nobody's,
It's been
they haven't written a
It's-
check.
It's been budgeted,
I got
so And that was from
At
2
least
years
2
ago
years
at
ago.
least?
Probably, yeah.
So
We'll get,
again,
we'll get it done.
okay.
We'll get it done.
One of the things I wondered about the sign before, I mean, I don't know how much, I mean, there's obviously the traffic here at the high school. Something I brought up before, maybe for future considerations. I'd love to see something that when you actually travel the main drags, you know where the high school is.
Right,
You know,
yeah.
something
Yeah.
like you have all this, like, hey, this is what's down Penfield, and there's this store, and that. There's really nothing if you're from out of town to know where anything
Nope.
is in Beecher.
Right.
You know, just some sign on Penfield that says the high school's this way.
I think the
I
village would be
proposed Bobcat
greatly
Bobcats.
appreciate, give us an opportunity to put a sign out on their property somewhere, I'm sure.
I did, I proposed Bobcat paw prints.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah,
in
we
the
talked
momentum
about
got
that.
Because
that.
Mantino has it, I'm like, now I know which way I'm going because of those streets.
Right.
I'm not kidding.
So we will have proposals for those things in May.
Okay.
Okay.
And we have some personnel things to discuss, so I need to go into executive session.
We'd like to add student discipline onto that. I
And
don't
student
believe that's.
discipline. It's not, yeah, okay.
There aren't really any that are ready to go, right?
I don't,
Resignation, you can sign that one.
Yeah.
You want to make a motion to talk about the resignation?
No, but no,
But
that- I want that in executive session.
Okay.
so I need a motion for executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Herman?
Yes?
Weissel?
Yes.
Hallmeyer?
Yes.
Palmisano?
Yes.
Goldrick?
Yes.
Skrymenti?
Yeah.
Missouri?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you all.
Do you want to know what happened, Mike?
I know we got beat by one question.
Oh, no.
One.
They lost by 20, yeah.
One question, she said.